Welcome to Toffee TV. It is our pleasure to say Dr. France has joined us in the studio. He's come all the way from Arizona to be in our company. I mean, not just our company, of course. He's come to watch Everton.
I'm in the company of great Evertonians.
That's all you need to know. Before we start, this video is sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball's app makes it easier to find all the latest scores, stats and news all in the one place. To download the OneFootball app, click the link in the description. Got that done. Out the way now. If you can get the OneFootball app in America, you'll be able to keep up to date.
I watch you every week.
Well, there you go. You already know it.
So we already got it.
It's the highlight of my week. Seriously.
So is Arizona not fun then? No?
How many channels have you got in this thing?
500.
It must be
we
slow
need
in
a
Arizona.
poster to put that on.
We do.
Need a poster to put that on. Dr. France says you're the highlight of my week.
You are.
From Arizona.
Yeah, particularly when you get excited, overly excited, and you play ratings, you give everybody 10.
I think that's only happened once.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
More likely to get better.
Man United game.
The Man United
Man United game.
And then the other occasions when we hear this bad language.
No, not for me.
You obviously don't listen to yourself.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Alright, we'll move on.
I mean, there are different levels of bad language, by the way. That's one level. There's different tiers of bad language.
Yeah.
You've been in the States for too long, that's the problem. Your ears.
It's been tuned out.
No, you've just, I think what it is with American TV, it's quite sanitised, isn't it?
It is very sanitised.
So you're not used to, over here, you can, they're effing and jeffing all over the place, so.
Well, in the
yes, they are, as you well know, when the cameras are not rolling.
I don't know.
We have no swear words and no nipples.
I mean, that's
a swear word, isn't it? So
put that on a poster.
There you go, no swear words.
That's a rule to live your life. Dr. France says no swear words and no nipples.
Yeah. We can almost get those t-shirts like when Frankie says relaxing. France says no nipples. You know, meanlistic.
So, it's been a couple of years since we've seen you, Dr. France, since you were over here with your book.
Yeah.
A lot's happened in the meantime. Let's refresh. What's been going on in the last couple of years?
Well, I've not been well. Right, it's been over 2 years. I had, in that 2-year period, I had a heart attack, and then last year I had a stroke, which I'm recovered from. But during that period, during my ill health, I was still in better shape than what Everton was. The heart attack was easy. They put stents in you. They come up through the groin into your heart. They've got a cardiologist, and I didn't say it at the time, but you were awake, and I looked at him. I thought to myself, God, I hope you're not a cop-ite. And then with the stroke, I lost my vision for a few days, and obviously had some paralysis.
When was the stroke exactly?
That was a year ago, April.
So I mean, it wasn't the worst time to lose your sight as an Evertonian.
No, it wasn't. No. What? No, it wasn't, and I think that's the spirit you've got to have, because my wife shares that type of black humour, and because she said. We went and I got to a proper hospital. It happened out in Indian country, native Indian country, and we got to a proper hospital. And the guy, he obviously said what it was, and I now have an oncologist, a urologist, a cardiologist, and a neurologist. So we got that. The neurologist came and he put me through the CAT scan. Really sophisticated piece of kit, really is, and he's showing my wife in my absence. The cross sections of my brain, and I do have some damage on either side. And Liz said to him, it's really good, this kit, can it differentiate the damage caused by the Dutch guy versus the damage caused by Allardyce? And he obviously couldn't.
No.
But that was then. Mm. So you bounce back, you look at life differently, and you look forward, as you do all the while. You always look. It's a bit like Everton. You get beat on the Saturday, you have a lousy Sunday, a lousy Monday, and then by Tuesday you've got optimism for the next game, haven't you?
Well, you're looking very
well. This time last year, but now, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about this season? It's
been all right. It's been okay. If if things out of our control go the way they should go, then you can look back and go, it's been a season to build on. So
I mean, are we talking about our neighbours here?
Well, I mean, yeah, because we need that to go our way.
But don't you think that there's more to us than gloating? We gloat. No, let me finish. We gloated last year when they lost the European Cup final. We would be thrilled to have gone to European Cup final.
Oh, we would. Oh, there's two issues there, isn't there? There's that, which is look at yourself and go, we'd love that opportunity. But there's the other side, and I wouldn't call it gloating. No, I'd just call it gloating. Making our lives easier. I'm not. Listen.
No, I agree with you.
We work closely in here with Redmen.
Yeah, some good lads.
Some great lads. Yeah. Couple of not as great, but mostly the great. But I won't be bouncing in here next week if they've not won the league. I'm rubbing it in the face. It just means I can come in here and get on with what I'm doing. However, if they have, it's gone their way on Sunday, we will not hear the end of it. And that's the difference, is that I won't be in people's faces. It's just it'll just be like, right, let's concentrate what we're doing.
But I, to some degree now, I'm not saying I envy them, but I do see the benefits of supporting a team that knows where it's going.
Mm?
You know, they've got a cracking board, they've got a charismatic manager, they've got resources that they can buy people who want to come and play for them. I mean, I would have thought, besides the likes of Madrid and Barcelona, Liverpool, playing for Liverpool Football Club is an attractive place to go if you're building a career in football. They've got an international profile, international fan base. They've got tremendous sponsors. And I just look for the day when we're like that, and they're having success.
Don't forget, I mean, where to look at for me is that 3 or 4 years ago, you know, they were finishing behind Everton.
Well, they were,
and they've turned it.
Yeah, and as you said, they were going into administration.
Well, 12 years ago, yeah.
But then a year ago, I thought to myself, as a really good blue, an optimistic great blue, now I think I've become just a tad bitter. So I've got to tell you the tale about my car number plate. Well, you know that, what was it? A few years ago, I got stopped on the freeway in Houston by the highway patrol. 98 miles an hour. That's what he said when he gave me the ticket for $200.
Right.
And he came out and he's giving me a paper, not particularly charming, the American policeman, and he said, what's your license plate number? I don't know. So I said that to him. I don't know, but thanks for the $200 ticket. And thank you for the professional way in which you've done this to me. So on the way home, which was about 20 miles, my wife nagged at me, how come you don't know the car registration plate? How come this? How come that? And this went on for, half a day. Then it was forgotten about. Until about 3 weeks later, we were getting in the car and she said, what's our car registration number? Oh, I don't know, But why didn't you go and see? So I went round the back and there it was, EFC 1878. Fantastic. Now I'm the pride of Sedona, Arizona, driving round. Of course, there's not many Evertonians there, but I took it in for a service and I bumped into our Paul Rideout. And it was because of that he was admiring my number plate, and I said, God, you look, he's a handsome looking guy, and he can head the ball. So I said, you look a handsome guy, having some football. Fantastic, isn't it? So, after my illness and recovering from my illness, I said, let's get another car. And I said, well, this time you can pick the car and I'll pick the number plate. So she gets the same car, Land Rover. So we get another Land Rover. So I am now going to show you my new number plate. You may want to ask the guys next door to hide.
Okay.
Tremendous.
Now, which is a clear indication that I've become bitter.
Hate LFC. Hate LFC.
Hate LFC. That's all it is.
I mean, some people might read it as hate LFC. I'm just reading it as...
You are.
Am I reading it correctly? Is it hate LFC?
It's whatever goes through your mind. and if Brighton don't do the job on Sunday, we may want to make a lot of these.
Yeah, I might be wearing it on Monday, yeah. Incredible.
So, I mean, how have you looked at the season then from the turmoil that has been the last couple of years?
I've been disappointed. I think that, the turmoil of the last couple of years has been disappointed. I thought that we could step forward. I wasn't very impressed by some of the mid-season chaos when we seemed to really lose our way. But I think now he's found a blend and he's got a way of playing. I think, and there's this significant teamwork. I'm impressed by the bonding amongst the players.
Yeah.
That it seems to be coming together. Obviously, there's some spots where we don't have the strength that we need, but I think we've got maybe half the team could get into one of the, let's call them the top 6 clubs. I think they're of that quality, and so I'm encouraged. But it's about consistency, isn't it? And it's about building. But they're not the challenges really facing the club. The club's got challenges associated with costs. We've got all these people, all this deadwood on the payroll, that we go through in a minute. So we just got to get rid of them. Either sell them or just get rid of them. We've got, we still don't have the kind of income streams that other clubs have when it comes to sponsorship. We just don't have the brand. We don't have the profile, and that we need to work in that area as much as any other area. We've got the ground. I know there's a big announcement, isn't there, coming up in the not too distant future?
Well, the club have said like later on this year we should start getting bits and pieces more. There's the second consultation that's going to come at some point, isn't there? So
when will they go for planning permission?
Well, they've said later on this year.
Yeah, it's probably around September time.
Well, I heard that just from the distance across the Atlantic that there were some problems regarding the seafront, the riverfront is a heritage site.
Yeah, it's UNESCO,
and it's not just the Three Graces or around the Three Graces. It's quite a length of it.
Yeah, it goes right up to where the stadium is, and that's one of the problems Everton have been trying to deal with, haven't they? I think is that it's all got to look a certain way, and it's all got to. The dock's got to be treated with respect because it's part of the...
Oh, so you think that you could just build it out of materials that are consistent with the rest of it?
Well, that's what Dan Meese has said, hasn't he? The architect. That's how we will go about it. So it'll... Apparently, the remit is it'll look like it's always been there. Part of it, that kind of...
In the same way the wastewater treatment works.
Exactly the same way.
If you've got a wastewater treatment site, it's a World Heritage wastewater.
Well, that's where it just fits.
That's where it finishes.
Literally the boundary.
Does it really?
Apparently. But it's the whole thing with the heritage. It isn't just to do with Everton, no, either. I think it's all to do with Peel's redevelopment of that area anyway, isn't it? So,
and I don't know about you, but what does a UNESCO World Heritage Site actually do for a city? I don't know. I imagine by where you live, the Grand Canyon might be...
The Grand Canyon is one. But when they cite them, they do cite them as like the pyramids of Giza and whatever. They cite these types of things, but I don't know how many of them there are.
Yeah, but I understand that. The Grand Canyon or the pyramids or wherever else is, and I can understand why you'd say, well, you're not allowed to build a football stadium or a Subway or a McDonald's. I can understand that.
Well, for the Grand McDonald's by pyramids and easy.
Well, there is. But, like the Grand Canyon, I can understand why. But for somewhere like Liverpool and the waterfront and all this essentially derelict land, because that's all it is. It's just derelict land. Why people worry so much, or what?
Well, wasn't there in the last consultation with over 20,000 people? I think 23 people or something quoted the UNESCO thing up to 20,000. So really? I don't think it's I personally don't think it's a big issue. I think it's all.
But going back to the season we've just had, I think we've had some successes in the transfer market. I think we've got the core of a good team. I think the manager is now gaining confidence, and I think gaining the confidence of the fans. that maybe he should be one we stick with, because we do need consistency there. We've chopped and changed for so long, but I had hoped we would be challenging for 6th. We would have snuck in, particularly since United had stumbled. I don't know, well, a couple of others have stumbled as well. I think the opportunity there, maybe with 4 or 5 more wins, and I don't know the numbers, but I think we could have snuck into that. And once you get in, then it's for the others to get you back out. So I think we could have got in and built on that. But now we've got to try again another year. I just don't know what resources we have to keep on building on the team, because we're certainly we're not balancing the books the way we're doing it at the moment. We're just drawing on Mr. Mashiri's money tree.
But isn't that what most of the other teams have done? Particularly, you referenced Liverpool before. It's certainly what Liverpool did. Spent a hell of a lot of money and then about to recoup it with sales of like Suarez and Coutinho.
And they did very well, didn't they?
Oh, they have, and listen.
No, they've done very well.
Everton will hope to do that, won't they?
So who's you going to sell then?
Well, I don't think it'll be this year. I think he'll throw a lot more money, and I think there'll be a lot go out this year. It's whether we can recoup money.
But are you prepared then to say we have a good year next year? And are you prepared then, and say Richarlison does really well? Are you prepared to let him go in a year's time?
Someone offers 135, 140 million, and you've got the next kid on the block. Then why not?
That's the way you're going to build a team.
Yeah, well, I think. Listen, the way FFP is, or Premier League rules are, you have to look at stuff like that. It mightn't be Richarlison, it might be something else that happens. I mean, me personally, somebody comes in for Lookman with 30 million quid this year, I'd have no issue with selling him, because he doesn't play. So if players aren't playing, then why are you keeping him around in the hope that he might be good? Especially if you're going to go and bring someone in who's going to play. And that's Everton's problem. It's not like you've just said there's a core of a really good side there. And it needs a few more. With a few more, it will be as good as anything.
Do you think those few more, any of the young lads that we have in the under-23s, do you think, and that have been in the under-23s for the last year or two, we know the candidates.
Yeah.
Do you think they're good enough yet to be making ways into the first team?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
Not yet.
No. There's nothing coming through as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing on loan that I think is good enough. I think that's why Marcel Brands has done a complete root and branch review of it all, because I don't think there is anything coming through that's really seriously pushing. And if you look at the players who came through the last time we won it, John Joe Kenny, Tom Davies, they're only on the fringes. Oh, like Dom's in there at the moment, but everyone knows that we need to buy another striker. But I just can't see any of them. But that's his job now. I mean, I think that's what Marcel Brands' job is. I think that's why he's on the board now. And I think his job is more important than just scouting or whatever the last fella's job was to as director of football. I really think Marcel Brands will be running the football club as far as I'm concerned. And I want him to run the football club, because I don't personally see anyone else who's capable of running a football club at Everton.
Well, there aren't many people on the board that are football people.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that's
and he sounds like, do you think we'll keep hold of Marcel Brands? Because everyone wants one of them nowadays, don't they? A director of football.
I think the thing with him is, I think he's incredibly loyal. We'd have had him 2 years ago if he wasn't. Chelsea would have had him 3 years ago. United would have had him 4 years ago. He knocked all of them back to stay at PSV. It took a lot to get him out to PSV.
Yeah.
So I think he's here. I think he'll be here for 5 years, and then I think Greta Steinson will take over, who he's already briefing as his number 2.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. Yeah, because I don't think he'd have left. He was never leaving PSV for a short-term job ever. He said that himself.
Well, what do you think about keeping some of the people that others have attracted in? We've got all the ones who wanted to go. I mean, young Garner Gay. Do you think we'll keep him?
It depends who comes in.
Not convinced.
You're not convinced about him?
No, I'm very convinced about him. I'm just not convinced we'll keep him. But I mean, isn't that the job of?
Yeah. No,
isn't that the job of the people who run? This is the thing. I don't know what you think, but for me, I think Marcel Brands is ice cold in terms of he sees players as commodities. It's not his job to build relationships with players. He's very. I mean, you'll know this from American sport. That general manager who doesn't have any relationships with the players. His job is to bring them in and cut them and whatever is best for business. And I think that's all Marcel Brandt's work.
There is that side to it, but there's another side. The psychology side is that I think something that we need to be mindful of nowadays is if you bring a young kid in. I mean, young kids, anyone's under 25 in my eyes.
Yeah.
But you bring a youngster in, you've got to make sure he's mature. I mean, I think we've brought in a few people who have not necessarily been mature, and the first reaction is to go out and buy a gold-coloured Cadillac or whatever. Maybe that's what they're expected to do, but they're not the kind. I'm thinking about Memphis Depay. I mean, I heard that that's one of Brand's favourites, and he's now matured and whatever. And now he's got a pink Cadillac. So they're not the types of people that I think you build a club around.
No,
and we've got one or two of those already.
But whose mistake? I mean, going back to what we were saying before, whose mistakes are they? I mean,
they're not Brands. Oh no,
we're
not
very
Brands.
much still very much stuck in the mistakes of the past, pre Brands, pre Marco Silva. A lot of the things we're talking about, the dead wood, the young players, they're not a reflection of the people who are in charge now, and the people who are running the club, whether it be Denise Barrett-Baxendale or anyone on that board, they started at the beginning of this season. It's very hard, I think personally, I don't know what you think, but to say whether they've done the right things or the wrong things, because I think they are having to deal with or reset. I think the stadium's a key thing. I think they came in and I don't know where the stadium was, because we don't really know. But it feels like when they came in, they had to reevaluate the stadium, because people came in and people were asking why has there been a delay, and we haven't been told that. But it seems like there was a review of the whole situation that had been left by the previous people in charge.
I think you will continue to review it until one day you'll make a decision to proceed. And that may be even after the planning's been done. It's a huge amount of money and a huge amount of financing, and it's going to have a significant impact on our ability to buy and trade in the future. Like it has done for Tottenham, like it has done for Arsenal and the like. So it is that. What do you think about the stadium? What capacity should it be?
What capacity do you think it should be?
60,000. And
Okay.
why? If you're going to be a Big Six club, you're not a Big Six club if you don't have a capacity of 60,000. You've got to be ambitious. You really do.
I think you've got to be ambitious, but I think I'd like to know more. See, a lot of people I can't get into arguments or conversations about things that I don't know about, because how can you? So if when those plans come out and the stadium is a certain shape and it's the placement of it means that it can't be built any higher or any bigger, then who am I to start arguing with architects? But if the club have come out and said there's a reason why it's 52,000 and it's because that's the limit of our ambitions, essentially, then I can argue with that all day.
Well, I don't think you fit your ambitions by the size of the dock. I think you look at yourself and think, in 10 years' time, if we're going to be a footballing power, we need a stadium of 60,000, maybe expanded to 80,000 or whatever it is, and let's invest in a piece of land and a site and a structure that accommodates that. The fact that it's on the dock, that's one thing.
But that's not.
We've got emotionally tied to the fact that we're on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey. I don't necessarily that should be the driving. I mean, it's great to have that, but I don't think it's necessarily the driving force for our investment in the future. I just want a big stadium full of people, be it with with standing and advanced as it can be.
But then that's the separation, isn't it? Because fans overwhelmingly wanted it on the dock. They want an iconic stadium that looks a certain way.
Yeah.
That means that when you're on TV and all the rest of it, from the outside, it looks incredible. It's
something to be proud of.
Exactly, and I don't, so isn't, again, that's a balance, isn't it? You could have a stadium on a piece of land where essentially, like in America, where you've got, do whatever you want.
Well, we were offered that. We were offered Stonebridge, whatever it's called, in Croxteth. We could have built 75,000 stadium there, but no one wanted it.
They're chalk and cheese, aren't they?
I know, but I'm saying to you,
in between there,
I'm saying to you that you could have had 75,000 and they'd be getting built now, because there would have been no plan and there'd been nothing.
Yeah.
But fans wanted it. Really.
But I think though we should be. I don't think we should be. If there's a delay in the building of the stadium, I don't think we should be critical about the delay.
No, it's a very.
I can imagine it slipping a year.
It's
building on a.
It's a massively this, and again, this is what I was saying. I can't get into conversations with people. I see it all the time online and stuff, where people constantly criticising the club and the board. I can't criticise them because I don't know what I'm criticising them about.
Oh, I hope I'm not criticising.
No, I know you're not. No, I'm saying
criticising the board. I'm just raising the questions.
That's what I'm saying, though. People,
it's not an easy decision for anyone.
No,
your question.
My fear is that we're spending £600 million, $1 million on a $1 billion on a stadium. What impact is that going to be on a business that's not mature? It's not necessarily healthy at this time, because we're not generating the kinds of revenues that we need to do to support that kind of stadium.
Is the argument though that we're only ever going to generate that money if we move to a new stadium?
No, not at all.
Okay, well from a stadium point of view though, Goodison Park's never going to generate that kind of money, because case in point, all of the lounges are getting redone, right? But there's no extra space so there's no extra capacity.
No, I'm not. In any way, I'm not Goodison forever on here.
No, I know.
And I'm not on about let's turn the stadium round. We went through all of those. Yeah. Oh no, it's obviously we have to move. If we're going to be ambitious, if we don't want to be ambitious and we want to just plod along, fine. Goodison's as good as anything.
So what are the ways?
Actually, you could have a good team. Then you can spend all your money on the good team.
But you can't though. You can't.
But we can.
You can't have a good team and have essentially have a stadium that doesn't produce money, because FFP. I know there's various ways around it, but you just can't. You can't. But they've pulled the ladder up behind them.
Yeah,
that's the real problem, isn't it?
Yeah. We're not struggling with fees.
But you are right. I mean, in terms of, but then I know what you're alluding to: better sponsors. Better kit deals, better everything.
Better brand.
But that's where I think the stadium, having an iconic stadium, would help all that, because then someone.
I think it's too late. I honestly do. If you're waiting, 4 years for a stadium? If you wait 4 years for a stadium, if you wait 4 years to have Land Rover or Jaguar on your shirt, or Mercedes Benz or whatever it is, Jeep or whatever brand, international brand, and you have on your shirt, or what major kit deals you have, I think that's too late. I think you need to be building your brand, building your profile now, building your international base, and it all comes together with the stadium.
But aren't they trying to do that?
I'm sure they're trying.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying.
I have no doubts that they're trying, and I'm not saying it's easy.
No. But you've been a businessman your whole life. You've been incredibly successful. So what do you think Everton could be doing now to try to bridge that gap? Because quite clearly, like Ped just said, the stadium, 2023, August 2023, we kick off, bright sunshine, at home to whoever. And we win 8-0 and our Brazilian centre forward gets. But how do we get from where we are today, the end of the 2018-19 season?
We have to be perceived as we have to have an identity. That's one thing.
Yeah,
we all have to agree upon what Everton is, and the other thing we have to be successful.
Okay,
right, and that means winning things. Now, I mean, David Unsworth's done a fantastic job. Winning the trophy, and maybe tomorrow night it'll be the double, and that'll be a tremendous. That'll put a smile on our faces in our own way. But we still need Brighton to roll over. we need to be winning trophies. We need to be going to Wembley. We need to be there, involved in these things. We can't just throw away FA Cup runs at Millwall and things like that. They're the important things. Yeah, gradually we'll break into the top 6 because one of them will fall out, one of them will lose the sponsor, and or there'll be friction within some of these clubs. And we've got a chance to get there. We've got to have our act together before we get there. But I think we've got time now to get our act together and to move forward. We need success. We need, and I think from what we saw at the latter end of the season, it looks like we'd have started that whole season.
Yeah,
we'd won something.
Well, if we wouldn't have took 3 months off, which effectively we did, we'd probably be in the top 4 now, or we'd be in the top 6, because we're only, like you just said, with 3 or 4 wins away from it now anyway. I mean, what would you, if Everton come to you today for advice on, from a business perspective, obviously winning stuff, yeah, of course, we all need to win stuff, and there's teams at the top. Our city rivals might end up with no trophies, but could end up still with 2. Yeah, that's the flip of it, isn't it? But what would your advice be to Everton and trying to
we have to promote ourselves.
Okay.
When you ever see Everton in the newspaper, or whatever I'm saying, the newspapers, let's just use it as the old-fashioned traditional newspaper. Yeah. When do you ever see us in there when we screw up or do something wrong, or some idiot parks in the handicapped parking spot? That's the only time.
Negative. I'm saying negative.
That it's a
stuff.
Negative story, or someone's I don't know. There's been some incident of some sort that doesn't bode well for us, or one of our players is likely to move to a top team. Club, We're never there about. I mean, even Everton in the community is not. I mean, we all think it's a great thing, and it certainly is a great thing. But it's not promoted internationally. It's not promoted nationally. We've got all these trophies and awards, but it doesn't get the mileage that it should get. I'm not saying that's what our image. That's what we should be. Our identity is.
No. But
it's a part of being a good person, which Everton community is. If you describe it as a person, having compassion is a great thing to have. But that will come under competition soon when Liverpool's foundation, the Manchester United Foundation, they're all following them.
Yeah.
I mean, once you know that yourself, Liverpool get their act together.
But it's stupid, isn't it, about having a conversation about charities?
Once a person said to me not so long ago, you used to be a church with a football team, and now you're a charity with a football team. And 100 years later, that's what we are.
No, you're absolutely right, and you're right about the way the club is promoted. I don't ever think Everton, for all the people who work there, I think they just tend to pick the wrong things all the time to promote. Like, there's never any good interviews with the manager or with the players. They always seem to pick and choose when they want those interviews to happen. They only seem to be of a particular length. They don't do it themselves. Why not have the manager sit down once a month with Everton, the club, and put it out there and get lots of good stuff that then the press say.
A message across.
Then the press start picking all that up and going, well, we did Everton did an interview and Sky take the clips, revealing the insights that we want to know. Everton, for me, are terrified of the media. Absolutely terrified. They're terrified all the time of someone saying something nasty about them. Right. And yet, like you've just said, that is the only time anyone ever seems to talk about Everton.
And the other thing is, we've become followers. We once had a reputation of being innovators on the leading edge of doing stuff. I think Everton in the community may be the last example of us doing something. But in most things, we just copy what other people do. What works at Sunderland, we'll do. What works at Newcastle, but that's what we do. Anyway, let's get on to...
Can I just ask you another question on Twitter for you from Matt, African Sunset 73, and said, can you ask him if anything has changed since his last visit in relation to our image in the States? If as expected, it hasn't, where does he think there's an opening? So from your perspective of living in Arizona, are Everton any bigger than you were last year? Has anything been done to make them bigger?
We're smaller. because other people, because Liverpool are playing 3 games at Notre Dame Stadium, which holds 110, at Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park. Well, two of the most iconic stadiums in America, Notre Dame and Yankee Stadium. And Liverpool played Manchester United there last year at Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium, 100,000. No, we're not. We're falling behind, slipping behind badly. But now, somebody once said that to me. If you were going to open a pizza place, right, would you have it one where there isn't anybody, where there isn't a pizza place, or would you have it where there are 9 other pizza places?
Where there's no.
No. Where there are 9.
Because they're
it's
popular.
No, there's a market, and you just got to be better. And there is a market in America. The others are there. And the West Hams are there, and they're like, the ones who are lower, in our thoughts than those. But they're there.
They're trying.
Leicester's are there.
Yeah. They're trying.
But we just need to do it better.
It's pathetic. I say it all the time. It's pathetic how backwards we've gone in terms of one of the biggest emerging markets in the world, and it's not even emerging anymore.
Oh no, it's established.
It's established now, and yet.
Well, I've said this.
It frustrates me.
What frustrated me is when we had the 2 greatest American soccer players of all time in Landon Donovan and Tim Howard. The 2 that were only national names, and we didn't even exploit it.
No.
And we don't exploit it. We could still exploit it now.
Still do it.
Because
we'll turn around and.
Well, Howard's finishing at the end of the season, so he could become an ambassador.
Always tweeting about Everton.
He's always tweeting about Everton. He was tweeting about him last week. We said this a couple of weeks ago when they had Leon Osman over there doing something for the. It's like, why couldn't Everton get Tim Cahill now that he's gone into retirement? Get him to do something and get someone like Paul Rideout and get Paul Rideout to go and visit with Tim Cahill and do a couple of nights at a pub and do something.
We've got 60, 80 supporters clubs in America. I mean, they're geographically.
And the thing about them is, though, and we've said this numerous times, is that, okay, listen, they're not, those supporters clubs are not necessarily huge on their own, but together they do make a good, sizable Everton supporters. Evertonians of a certain age are everywhere. And believe you me, when I had cancer, I went over to they took me over, flew me over a helicopter to a hospital in Vancouver, and ripped me up, like they do, and do the things that they do to you. And this is a true story. The guy came in to me, and the head of the Canadian Medical Association is an Evertonian. And he'd had checked up on me with the guy who was doing, the oncologist who was doing this. And he came in to me and he said, well, we've got some bad news for you. You're not really making much progress. But we've got some good news, is you'll never see Everton playing Kirby. But the only way...
But they're there. But Evertonians are everywhere.
But the only way you're going to get them all together to do something, to show the strength of them, is to play a game. And...
But this is what I would think in playing the game, right? You got this under-23 team. The season is on. Get them out there now. Play every 3 games. Tour as Everton, whatever. You put them a different name on. But get the identity there. American football is popular. Female football, women's football is popular. Get our girls over there.
This is the idea we had, was to basically go to somewhere like Seattle, which or Atlanta, which have got huge football markets. Take the first team, take the under-23s, and take the ladies team, and just for a week make sure they play two or 3 games each. Okay, the first team might play only a couple. The under-23s could play 3 games. The ladies could play 3 games against local sides. Put coaching things on, put signing sessions on, have a mascot, launch your kit while you're over there, take over somewhere for a week.
I would do it for a lot longer. I'd do it for the summer. I'd do it for like the equivalent of the MLS season, because they play during the summer.
Well, I mean,
I'd say no, not the first team. I wouldn't send the first team over there. But I'd take, I mean, even the lads who are on the fringes of our under-23 team, say even the under-18 team, get them over there, give them some experience. Yeah, bring the coaches over there, get people who recognising the name in a very positive way.
Put clinics on. Put clinics on,
and you have a big badge.
Have a pub where that's going to be our HQ, and on the Friday night there's going to be an older legend, and on the Saturday he's going to be someone like Cale or Howard, and do it. I can't, for the life of me, I can't understand who makes the decisions and who hasn't decided, because like you were saying before, okay, we may never get into that international champions thing like we were in a few years ago. That seems to be a closed shop now for all the top names. Create something else. Create your own thing.
Your own, like the Harlem Globetrotters. Just go around playing everywhere.
Well, call it the Sport Paisley Tour or something.
No, why not? And
get them on board, and get them saying, well, we'll sponsor the tour because we're trying to build our name out in America and play other teams. There's plenty of MLS teams. There's plenty of other American teams out there that you could play. Well, listen, there's loads of teams just floating about that you could go.
If every kid in America up to the age of 11 plays soccer, boy or girl or other, right? Everyone plays it. They've all experienced playing soccer. It's a way of building teamwork and character. So that everyone's interested in soccer. It just happens that when they get to about 11, they may find other things that they're interested in, like most teenagers do.
Oh, off the pitch, you've just mentioned their leadership in the boardroom. So how or where does that come from?
Well, I would expand that into saying we need ambition, we need vision, we need planning, and we need to use, I hate to say this, but our good neighbours as our model of how you do it. I don't want to get into the individuals. I think Denise is top class. I really do, and I think the people, Richard Kenyon and Contract Dave, I think they're excellent people. But you need additional people in there. You need people in there that are not going to challenge them, but they've got their own set of skills and experiences to bring in, and I think that's what we're missing off the board. Maybe it's a new personality there that comes in who just sees it in a different way. Sees Marcel Brands is alright, so he knows football, but like he knows European football, but does he know much about expanding into international markets? Does he know much about building a club? Maybe that's a different species.
Would a person like that come from wanting to expand? So would you hire someone on the basis of someone in the boardroom says, right, we need to start exploiting these markets and this is how we're going to do it?
Oh, I think that may be below the boardroom. I think what you bring in is a guy who has that vision. We don't have at this time the Peter Moore guy who's been in America. He knows how American sports work, and he has a vision. With his friends at Fenway, they know where they're going. Well, given that everything's changing, but given the fact that all these variables, they still have a good idea of where they are going and where they're going to be in 5 years' time. And for us, that's frightening, because the gap between us and them is getting bigger, and it's going to be a lot bigger in 5 years' time unless we start catching up.
Do we need to go out then and headhunt someone from a big
Well,
company?
I would hope that the people we have on the board, and by that I mean, give me some names here.
Keith Harris
with Mashiri and
Sasha
the likes.
Rice.
No, with Keith Harris, Mashiri. You would think that they know who these people are. They've come across these people. If not, then you have to go you have to find an agent who's going to go out and
I'm like you on that score. I look at the board and I understand what they all do.
Yeah.
But I don't see any imagination on it.
But what
new.
What you get normally in business is you get people who do a great job. This is their remit. This is a great job, and they've done it better than the guy who was there before. But they don't understand that what the job is the next level on. They don't know the things that they're not doing.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy we want to bring in, who knows what these extra things, that guy, person to bring in, who knows what this is. And then we can bring all the others along with him. That's what our secret is. We need the guy with the vision. Normally that comes from the owner. I think in our case, our owners seem to be a little bit disengaged, let's say, from it all. And so that's something. So we've got that. As I said before, we've got to get rid of, cut the dead wood. We need some investment rather than just machinery. You know, we need to have other investment, and let's hope that his good close buddy comes across. Now, one of the things that I must say, I went to the shareholders meeting, the annual dinner, which was very good, starring Jimmy Martin.
Oh yeah.
And Lee Carsley. And Lee Carsley's both from top class guys. Really are top class guys. No football inside out. Well, no, you know, Jimmy knows how to iron shirts and do those types of things. But they really are top class people. And it seemed to me that in that room there were 20% of Everton's shares were owned by people in that room, the small shareholders. And there wasn't one representative of Everton Football Club there. Not one. Now it seems the irony to me is that when Mr. Mashiri and Mr. Usmanov had 20% of Arsenal, they used to bitch and moan about being on the board and not being invited into things. And I think, you know, hopefully somebody passes this on to him. It would be a significant move forward, engagement with the rest of the shareholders if you show up to one of these things.
Yeah.
Because these people own, I mean, come the end of the day, he's going to own 80% and they'll own 20%, and he needs to reach out to them.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. You'd expect to be someone, a representative there. But,
right,
sadly.
I'm done. I've got out of paper. I'm out of paper.
Good.
You want to talk about something else?
I think we've covered quite enough. To be fair, I think we've covered everything.
Are they consistent with your thoughts?
You know, to be fair, you're a lot more cutthroat than I am, but that's good.
I'm less understanding. Then.
No, I think you're right. I think you've not messed about. I think that's probably why you are where you are and I am where I am.
What about you? What do you say? Do I disagree with you? Disagree with me?
In terms of what?
The players.
The players. No, I think I agree with.
These are our assets.
I think I agree with most of what you're saying. There's a couple of variances, but it was only in your ratings, not who we keep and who we don't keep. I think I agree with the majority of what you're saying with who we keep and who we don't, because that's how it is. It's obvious, and I think I used the exact bar that you use, which is, would he get in a team above us?
Would he get in the top 16?
And if they don't, you see, I don't look at it. The top 6 to me is just something that people like to make up to create divisions in a league. The top 3 are ahead of everybody, and I know Spurs are 4th, but I think Spurs are miles better than Chelsea. I think Spurs are struggling at the minute because of the injuries. They haven't got a deep squad. I think it's City, Liverpool are by far the best, then Spurs. I think Chelsea, United and Arsenal are much of a muchness, and I think Everton will catch 1 if not 2 of them next season.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I don't. Emery to me doesn't know whether he's coming or going.
You think we are vying for 5th place then?
Well, I think we can. It depends what we do. That's the thing. I think if everything continued the way it was, I would have no doubt we'd be pushing for the top 4. But they could sign 3 brilliant players in the summer, and
I'll tell you something. Though, we sit here and we chew the fat here, but I'm really glad we've got Mashiri on board. And you know, where we'd be without him.
You know, it's scary.
It really would be, and where we would have without a lot of the people that we talk about, we'd be. You know, we've made mistakes. You know, embarrassing mistakes, disappointing mistakes,
made massive mistakes.
But no one would be more disappointed than the owner.
I think what I would say is the last time you were in, the difference what we've had, David, is now. For me, it feels as though we're at year 1 now. Really, this is what should have happened in year 1 of his reign, and it didn't. But I now feel with the likes of Brands and with where we're going with Markham, the players we've got, we're at almost as if we've pressed the reset button.
What's the goal for next year then? Win a trophy, League Cup.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Win a derby.
Yes. So
and you're saying 5th or 6th.
it's got that to me has got to be where we're aiming for, because anyone else around us would say that, and I include United in that. They'd be saying we need to win a trophy, we need to finish higher up. Well, we need to finish higher up, and the last 10 games have proved that. Everton, we got 8 clean sheets in 10 games. Normally on an upward spiral like this, you take that into next season. You can't look and go, it won't.
I remember, just before you close up, I remember, when you realise that you've got a good team, and I'm going to the Peter Reid dinner on Friday, Ronnie's Peter Reid dinner. Do you remember in our championship season, we, you haven't paid the lecky.
I know, it's just gone off.
That's how long we've been talking. Go on.
We played Sunderland and we beat them 4-1. Do you remember the game? They scored in the first
Ian Wallace
minute.
Scored after 85 seconds.
85 seconds.
Yeah.
And then,
Andy Gray
got two headers that were just unbelievable.
Out of this world. Yeah.
Trevor Stephen got one. Who got the other one?
Own goal. Sharp claims it. Sharpie was given it and says it is, but it was probably an Oggy.
But on that
Gordon
day,
Chisholm, I think,
that day you came away thinking, we've got a good team. We've got a real chance. Well, I looked at the game against Burnley, the only game I've seen, obviously, this season, and I felt like for that first half an hour, I thought, these are what Dave Prentice calls them, the green shoots that are popping up. I think this time next year we may need a weed whacker or something.
I come in the studio on Friday night at 11:30 or midnight or whatever, and I said the same to you. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I feel watching this team like this team's finally going where it's finally competing again. And listen, we're Evertonians, so we'll always have that little fear, but
you got to keep the faith.
I think sometimes you've got to tell people what you've got, and I believe we've got a side. And if we keep Gomez and we keep Zuma and we get a striker, then people need to watch out next season, because I think Everton could do some damage.
We need to keep Garner or replace him with someone very, very good.
Of course, but that's where we are.
Have to wait and see. There you go. We have covered just about everything on the show, I think.
Absolutely.
There you go. Dr. France. Listen, we don't get him in that often.
No.
So when he comes over, we're just going to let him talk.
Well, I remember the first time I talked to you on the phone. It lasted about 3 hours, was it?
Yeah,
I think it was about.
Might have been more. Might have been more.
I've literally got some questions for you.
Go on then.
Ian Marr has said ask David how Walter and Martha are from Ian in Boston.
Walter passed away.
Nice one, Ian.
No, Walter was a great Everton. He's a Cocker Spaniel. Both Cocker Spaniels, English Cocker Spaniels. Walter would watch the match with me.
That's Toffee. That's Ian's dog. Toffee said to show you.
Lovely. Show it to the camera.
You're messing me phone. This is Toffee. I can't go anywhere, but and you're not going to see it. So
Walter, he would sit with me, and and as I would swear at the television, he would look disgustingly at my my language, and so he passed away. So now with Martha, I take her out very late at night, and the skies in Arizona are black, and Walter stars up there, and I say to Martha, one day I want to be the person that Walter thinks that I am.
That's very true of every dog.
Yeah,
every dog looking at. This is off Fugazi 140. Have you heard about any plans to move your collection into the new stadium?
It's a very good point. That is something that I'm very frustrated about. It's now over 12 years since we completed the deal. 15 years since we embarked on. We had 3 years of negotiation. And I have, I've always been very supportive of, us showing it at Everton. But if we're not going to show it at Everton, then we need to show it to other people, because it's other people's history.
Where is it right now?
It's in the records office.
Yeah,
and spread out.
I was going to say, it's not all there though, is it?
It's in spread out. But and I know this was a part of the contract that this wouldn't happen. But if the folks at Anfield want to see it, then I have no problem now them seeing it. Put some of it on display at Anfield because it's part of their history, particularly the formation of Liverpool Football Club. They should not be denied it because we're not moving this thing forward. So I don't know. I'm sure, as we all know, that there'll be a big museum at the. I've not seen. Well, you'll see maybe when you guys go and see whatever it is you're going to see in the near future. That there will be a big museum for it because it is still the world's greatest collection. But we can't have it just locked away. The intent was that it would. One of the conditions was it would be put on the website so you could see things on the website. But most important is that it would be available to the people of Merseyside, and they failed to do that. And I find that a little bit frustrating, particularly since I'm, in ill health, and I'm looking at what time do I have left. In all seriousness, I would like to see it in a museum where one day I could walk around and look at myself and say, well,
it's your life's work, isn't it, in a way?
This was worthwhile.
At Blue Toffee 72, could you ask the doctor if he was Brands what striker would he sign?
No. I don't know how much money we got.
2.
No, let me tell you.
Yeah,
no,
go on.
I don't know. It depends what money we have, but I'd just sell up all the ones we've talking about selling up and put all the money in buying a striker. I'd buy the best top class one we could get, but it would have to be someone with the right kind of attitude. The last thing we want is someone to come over here on 200,000 a week and does nothing. All he does is throws his hands up in the air. We've got to have one that really wants, but he comes for the right reasons, whatever that may be.
And finally, Holmesy 73. What will you miss most about Goodison Park when we leave?
When I was in the, I sat next to my good friend Dave Prentice at the Burnley game in the press box, which is like his floor contortionist. You know that, And I'm not very good on my feet now, so I'm coming down the walkway to get to the exit. I'm holding everybody up, but you get used to that when you get to my age. So I'm holding everybody up and I'm coming down, and it's the end of the game. The sky has gone red. I mean, you notice it was black with tinges of red in it.
Right.
The rain's coming down, the lights are on, and that grass was it looked so lush and beautiful. And that's what I'd miss. I remember that seeing the grass at Goodison, just magnificent. That's one of the first things I remember about going to Goodison. When you come down in those days, you came down the terraces and you saw that grass. It was just incredible. So it's still the same,
What a place.
Oh, it's a special. The whole going to Goodison for me, the experience of going there is like therapy. It's like the people are so friendly. And we're all in this, and we've said it before, we're all in this together, aren't we? The bonds are so special. Now, before you close, let me say what a great job you two do. I really sincerely believe that I remember one time I said I'd promise you that and the offer has now expired, so I offered to take you out if you got to 12,000 subscribers, and now you've got
32.
32,000.
You're only 20,000 late.
Yeah.
We'll have a take on Friday.
I think you've done a smack.
I'm just trying to think now what you would have promised us for 30,000. I'm thinking,
I don't think we didn't think we had no ambition. We needed a lead. We didn't have ambition. We didn't have ambition for 30,000.
You mightn't. Yeah.
Just keep ticking along.
There you go.
How as it is.
There you go.
Big thanks to Dr. France, as ever, for coming on and sharing all his wisdom. He simply is, no matter what anyone says to you, he simply is the greatest Evertonian.
Mr. Everton.
Mr. Everton, over here.
Thank you.
Flights from Houston every Friday night.
Took me 23 hours this time.
There you go. He's had a stroke, he's had a major heart attack, and he's still coming over to watch Everton play football and come to see us. So, this video has been about 3 hours long, but who cares? Because how often will we get Dr. France in the studio? Big thanks to him. Big thanks to you for watching. And if you want more, check out all... He's got about... How many books?
17
Everton books. Go and find them. They're all on Amazon and other places. Go in a small shop. People do that anymore?
Don't know.
Go in a small shop. Buy his book. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.